Off. Welcome everybody on Instagram. Everybody who's watching this on YouTube, welcome to this episode of Breath of Life Conversations. I am here with the absolute fabulous Monica from Finding Fertility. She is a functional, let me see if I get this right, a functional fertility health coach. There we go. I got it. She was, well, I'm not even going to steal her thunder. We're going to let her tell her story. Okay. But one of the things that I really wanted us to discuss, Monica, was this very physical and very spiritual journey of fertility and pregnancy and motherhood. And I will preface all of this by saying, not a mom, don't ever want to be a mom, as in like birthing of my own body. I will more than likely adopt at some point, probably adopt multiple animal babies, like fur babies, as well as human people. I say no babies because I really love the idea of being able to have somebody get to choose me in this realm. And we'll talk about that too. But just so excited to have this conversation with you, because we have so many people saying a lot of different things around this topic. And I just adore you so much and your take on things. And I really wanted to delve deeper into some of these aspects. So please tell the people who you are and all the things.
And all the things. Well, I'm going to give you the cliff notes because my journey was long, expensive, heartbreaking, painful. I dealt with unexplained infertility for years, multiple failed IVFs, miscarriages. The doctor saying that I couldn't do anything about my situation. I had low egg quality and that was it, right? End of story. And I don't know, I guess with hindsight, spirit was like, absolutely not. This is bullshit. There is something you can do. We'll figure it out. We'll help you through it. We'll give you little breadcrumbs down the way. And I eventually had an IVF baby using immune suppressing drugs. And then I got pregnant naturally after 8 years of infertility BS. And what it came down to was, for me, a very physical issue. I had really bad leaky gut. It was going into my bloodstream. It was causing loads of inflammation and oxidative stress, and just messing up everything. My egg quality, my hormones, my uterine lining, my ability for the embryo to implant in my uterus. My body was like, nope, foreign agent, that's out of here. And when I got pregnant naturally, that was like the big aha moment of like, why isn't this information out there? Why did I have to go through 8 years, failed treatments, a lot of BS? Why don't the doctors know this? This isn't, I'm going to be painfully honest about myself. I'm not an academic. Give me roller skates and snowboards and colored pencils and knitting. Like, that is my forte. So I feel like if I could figure this out, if I could have enough patience and enough, I don't know, I just know how to read. That's all you need to do. Need to know is how to read, to put these pieces together, that the whole body is connected. And yeah, why aren't we doing that? So that's my story. That's who I am. And now I help women, become the conscious mamas they were born to be, because it is all about consciousness. It's about being radically responsible for your own body, for your actions, for even your past that maybe you had nothing to do with. But and so it's just being conscious of those things and going, yeah, there are things I can do and I'm willing to do them to get what I want.
I love this. I love this so much, because I think, number one, so often you hear a lot of women who have very heartbreaking stories of, I've tried so many times, I've maybe gotten pregnant, but wasn't, able to stay pregnant. And now they're dealing not only with this like trial of, I really want to make this dream come true, but also all of the shame of feeling not good enough, like you did something wrong. And you got very few medical individuals, whether they be nurses, doctors, anybody, right, who are going to actually truly know the entire breadth and width of this whole aspect of pregnancy, pre-pregnancy, the whole thing, and being able to explain it in a way that actually helps you and doesn't feel like it is either too far out of your reach or is so convoluted, or you're hearing things that you're like, that just feels so freaking wrong. And so as a medical intuitive, I definitely get people who are coming to me asking me about fertility issues. When I decided to fully step into this role of medical intuitive, it was definitely very low on the totem pole of like things that I was going to work with people and particularly women on. But it's been so interesting getting to work with them. And so through this conversation, I want people to definitely be able to see like how each of us attacks this really beautiful problem, issue, situation, however we wanted to describe it, in our own ways, and how it is, and how we're both looking at this from like very different angles, really, because you're coming at it very much from a personal, I went through this, I have my own story, I have my own pain, I have my own trauma that I had to deal with and go through. And I'm coming at this from definitely not that place at all, but coming at this from a place of, I understand medicine. I understand the human body. I know the way that we're trained to understand the human body, but I also have this additional piece of, I'm an intuitive. I can look at your body and I can see the physical things that are going on. Some things that a test isn't going to be able to tell you. And I also understand this like higher energy spirit piece. I can talk to your spirit babies. I can tell you exactly which ones are up there going, I'm just waiting for you to figure it out. Like, and then,
just get your shit together, mom.
right? And so I want to just kind of like, I was basking in this when I was like thinking about the fact that we were going to be able to have this conversation. I was like, these are two perspectives that I don't think has ever come together in one place before. So you're welcome, everyone.
Yes.
Welcome. So I guess the first question that I have for you is, what do you think is, from your perspective and from your experience, what do you think is the absolute biggest problem when it comes to fertility in general? And if there's something specific, like a specific area to tackle, because I know that it's such a large thing. And as a functional medicine health coach or functional health coach, you are looking at a much larger vision when a client comes to you and is seeking help.
Yeah, I mean, that is true. You have to look at the specific area for them. But the reality that over the last few years that I've realized is that the biggest issue is women don't know their own power. Women don't know how to follow their intuition. Women aren't tapped into this source. And because of that, we are led astray. We are told that there's nothing we can do, just use medical assistance, science is science, that's it, and that's the big issue. That's why we're having fertility issues. That's why our children are being born with higher rates of, useless and needless medical issues. So it's really helping those women, like I say, become conscious, like, oh shit, I can do this. But that's a really big leap for a lot of people. I know it was for me. I know that it took me years to get to that place. One, because Instagram wasn't even invented. So let's just start there. So I did walk this journey alone for a really long time. And so even when someone hears me say that, they get triggered. They're like, no, I can't. I'm the victim here. It's someone else's fault. It's, the medical system's going to help me, or, this happened to me in my past, or I was born this way. I have this diagnosis. I can't do anything. And it's like, once you get over that hurdle, and even if you just pretend and like don't necessarily believe it, but just are like, okay, I'm willing to walk this path, you'll start to see like, holy shit, like there's a lot that I can change. So that is hands down the biggest thing happening with fertility and for women, even who aren't dealing with fertility issues.
Yes, I 100% agree with that, because that is the foundation of almost all of the work that I do. I wish I could say all of it. There are two things where it's like mindset comes second, but it's so rare. Like, it honestly is so rare for me to come across a client, a friend, a family member, whoever, where something that they're telling me and I have to like start with, I need you to get your mind right.
Yeah.
Straight up. Like, I need you to go tell your ego to sit outside. That's like one of my favorite things to say, y'all. Like when somebody's like, I just don't know how to get my ego under control. I'm like, go tell it to sit outside.
Yeah.
Who asked you? Like, literally look it in the face and tell your ego, who asked you? Go sit outside. I will call you back in when I actually need you. Thank you. I will say thank you for being here.
Yeah. Well, for me, I turn around and I give her a hug. I'm like, I know you're hurting, girl. Let's hug it out. I was like, let's just hug. Right? Like, because the thing that we're told is like, you need to like tackle your demon, your ego. And it's like, that bitch ain't ever gonna leave. She is there with you forever. So you got to figure out how to be besties with her.
Yes. And because it's number one, like, it's evolutionary. Our ego was there to protect us for so long. We needed it to. We were, running away from saber-toothed tigers and like trying to find the best sources of water and food and all of these things that like we needed to learn and all of that. And as we developed our societies and we were able to realize about ourselves that we were like really smart and like we have the ability to like do some really amazing things, like our ego was there to basically help bolster us in some ways, and like telling us like, yeah, like we're meant to be here, like we're meant to survive, we're good. But now I feel like it's true that there are certain times when our ego needs to save us from a physical situation. It's also there to help bolster us in other situations and less physical situations. I think now we're in such a state of luxury for so many of us in so many different aspects of our lives, that to have an ego that is up front and center making all of our choices for us is very dangerous in a lot of ways. And yet there are a lot of us still that is what we're doing, is we're allowing our ego to stand up and tell us, yeah, I have this diagnosis, so of course I'm never going to get pregnant. And I have to come at that and be like, well, thank you for giving your diagnosis power.
Right? Yeah.
That's
I
helpful.
mean, that is big, because when you're dealing with unexplained, to be honest, all you want is a fucking diagnosis. All you want is something to hold on to and go, well, that's why I have these issues. So I think like the universe was like, haha, bitch, we're not going to give you a diagnosis, so you don't have anything to hold on to. And it was just able to allow me to keep searching and stumble onto little things that were like a light bulb, like, oh, maybe that's a thing. And then the trained, knowledgeable doctors were like, no, you're not presenting like that. You don't have high natural killer cells because you're not having reoccurring miscarriages. So no, that's not your thing. Well, my natural killer cells were so fucking elevated, I wasn't even getting pregnant. I wasn't even getting to that stage. So of course I wasn't presenting the normal way. And I do think they're learning and they're evolving and they're understanding that, people present differently now. So it's, the knowledge is coming out. But if I didn't follow my intuition and be like, no, I want that test, I would have never known. Right. And I wouldn't and having that information is powerful if you use it in the right way, because you can go, okay, I have this. what are the holistic ways that I can tackle this specific diagnosis? You know, like, especially with PCOS, I'm like, figure out what type of PCOS you have. There's like 4 or 5 different types. If you figure out your type, then you can really tailor your life here on earth to conquer those symptoms.
That is definitely one of those diagnoses that I get like thoroughly irritated with. Like, so many women are like, I have PCOS. Do you know how many women I have had come to me telling me that they have PCOS and they're never going to get pregnant? And then, they get pregnant. I'm like, I'm done. I'm done. I've had so many women at this point tell me that they have PCOS that I don't even want to hear from you that you can't get pregnant. Like, I'm putting it out there right now, people. Like, if you're coming to me being like, I cannot get pregnant, I've got PCOS, I don't even want. Like, we're gonna like take that out of your vocabulary, like right now, because I've had so many women who have come to me and been like, I'm pregnant, and I'm just like, so what now?
Yeah. Well, you don't know it's true until you prove it. And are you going to take the steps to prove yourself right or wrong? Right. And that's
Right.
where the mindset piece comes in. Right.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
but it's getting to that stage. And I don't know what the like magic key is to unlock Pandora's box for people, because, and I know how it feels. I sat there for years. But when you are like, okay, I am going to say when I get pregnant, not if I get pregnant. I'm not going to sit in this victim mode. I'm not infertile. Like, in my opinion, no one can call themselves infertile unless you don't have a uterus.
Yes.
Or you don't have a dick.
Yes.
Or, you know, like, okay, maybe even going as far as like not producing sperm, not producing eggs, no ovaries, you know, that's when you're truly infertile.
Yes. If you are missing a physical reproductive organ, then you can actually classify yourself as infertile.
Yeah.
Everything else can either be healed or you can work around it.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
The crazy thing too is that even women who use IVF and have a pregnancy with their egg and their partner's sperm, they will still attach to the ideal that they're infertile because they couldn't get pregnant naturally. Like, that's how fucked up the system is, that they've got us thinking, well, I'm infertile because I couldn't do this naturally. And it just spirals you down into this pit, right? And it's so hard to claw your way out. And I know how it feels. Like, I felt like I was cheating. Like, I started all this holistic practices and I still couldn't like get pregnant naturally. And I was using medical assistants and I was working with my coach. And I was like, I feel like I'm failing, right? I feel like that I can't do this. Oh no, I'm back on.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah. So I felt like I was cheating or I was failing because I still wasn't getting pregnant naturally, even though I was doing all these right things and I had to go use a medical assistant. And he was just kind of like, who the fuck cares? What do you mean?
Right.
Like, let go of that. I was like, I'm allowed to let go of that? You know, like, duh. Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
And sometimes that is all that we need. Sometimes it is just the permission to like be our healthiest selves and to be willing to do whatever it is that it takes to get the result we want. I feel like there are a lot of women that also think that if they can just get this one thing right, that it's all gonna change. That it's just one thing. That's the thing. Not that I don't have a problem with being like, and it will change. Your world, yes, will change. But do you agree? Do you agree that it's just one thing?
That you have to do like physically and mentally to get pregnant, like change your health?
Yeah, like that for most women or most men or whatever that are going through this fertility journey, that it's just if they just get this one thing right, like there's a magic pill, or do you feel like it's never just one thing? And if you only think that it's one thing, that there is a one magic bullet that is also a problem? Or do you find that with your clients, usually it's one thing and they need to just get that one thing right?
Usually by the time my clients come to me, they fucking tried everything. So my job is usually getting them hyper focused on like the bigger picture of that one thing. Is it stress? Is it your gut health? Because they've tried so many little things that it's built up to, being close to just doing one thing. But no, when you first start off, it's fucking everything. You got to change your environment. You got to change the chemicals in your environment, your food, your thought process, who you hang out with. If you're type A, stressful work situation, there's a lot of things that need to be changed. And it's not just, and I think this goes across every kind of issue, but everyone thinks supplements is going to be the make or break. I know that I popped a lot of fucking pills. I don't know why I didn't turn blue during this stage, but basically they became very expensive pee. But it's a physical thing. But we're taking these pills. They told us it's going to improve my A quality and stuff. And what people don't realize is that you got to dramatically lower that inflammation and oxidative stress before that supplement can help you supplement the things you need and be very targeted. When I started working with a health coach, all of my fertility supplements went out the window, and we got things for detoxification, for the gut lining, really targeted of where the issue was. But there's not a magic bullet. There's not a perfect diet. There's not a perfect supplement regime. And this is where people get frustrated, and they're like, well, I've tried the diet. I've done so-and-so's diet and this and diet. I'm like, well, it wasn't the right diet for you. Or maybe it wasn't the diet. Maybe you've got the diet down and it's your fucking type A and your 50 to-do list of just things fertility. And then you still got a regular life to live. You got a job, you got family, friends, it just like topples onto you. So there's a lot of layers, and it's finding the layers that you need to do. So like, I know we're going to get into the spiritual side of things. I didn't do anything spiritual to get pregnant. I did little things. I definitely did mindset. I slowed the fuck down. I slowed way down, tackled my type A-ness. But the spiritual side now for me is so like intoxicating. And I had a conversation with Nancy May. She's a spirit baby intuitive. And I was like, I'm kind of gutted that I didn't know this stuff, that I didn't get to connect with my spirit babies, because I know that they were there. And I know they were looking down at me going like, get your shit together, mom. Like, we ain't coming down until you are healthy, because guess what? We're going to start triggering the shit out of you. And if you are not conscious that we are doing this to you, you're just going to bring all that trauma that was laid onto you through the family, and you're going to continue that on through us. So some people, no, I would say everyone needs to physically fix their body. You are a physical being on a physical earth. I don't care if you are the descendant directly from Mary and or Jesus.
Right.
You are on earth. You can't sit on your couch and be spiritual and eat Snickers all day. It doesn't work. So everyone needs to fix that side. And some people have a lot to do. Some people just fucking cut out gluten or cut out a food intolerance or get their minerals right, and it works. And then some people, they're stuck on the spiritual side of things. They're blocking themselves with their subconscious, and it's just really figuring that out.
Yes. I love your work, and I love how you describe that, because you are like the perfect example of, and your clientele are a perfect example of something that that like hit me in the face, like a massive download that I received about how certain health issues, like how they fall into categories. And so I'll just briefly like explain that for everybody, that 85% of all illnesses, ailments, diseases, disorders have an energetic like purpose, like not purpose, an aspect to it. Like that's how it like came about, is energetically. There is an energetic like onus or like start process that then becomes physical in nature in some way. 14% of all illnesses are like habit in nature. And this is where I feel like your work like really gets like buckles down on. Sleep, stress, movement, or nutrition. Fix one or all of those things. And I guarantee you, if you have a habit in nature illness, then you're going to watch that illness go away.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
That leaves 1%, y'all, 1% of all illnesses being physical in nature and will require you to go into a medical provider and get either a pill, a scan, have a surgery. 1%.
Yeah. Yeah.
And people will always operate on this assumption, unless they have learned better, to run to the doctor and run to somebody who they are trained. Their only training is to see you or try to put you into that 1% box.
Mm-hmm.
And if you are not in that 1% box, which if you listen to all of my things, you probably are not, you are going to actually make yourself more unhealthy or in a worse position for whatever it is that you're trying to get rid of, whatever thing you're experiencing. And so then I've watched a lot of your TikToks, guys. If you do not follow her on TikTok, please do. I will make sure that in like the show notes, like we have this for you. But one of the things that like made me fall in love with you was something you said about like your health is really not ultimately the determining factor. And I know that I'm like paraphrasing this, so you'll have to explain this for all of those better. But you were like, if it was just you being the healthiest version of you, then like I think you were like, the God bless her soul, the Coke addict on the corner would never get pregnant, and the 400-pound person over here never would get pregnant. Like, but they do. They've proven to us that like it's possible to get pregnant and not be at 100% your best. But I agree with exactly what you said, though, that we live in a physical world. And if you want to be your best self, thinking way farther downstream than just getting pregnant, like, yeah, that's the thing that we're wanting to work on. But I think people get so stuck in that one thing that they don't even consider what happens when you do get pregnant and you do have a baby.
Mm-hmm. You're so hyper focused on those two pink lines, and it's not tangible. You can't think that far forward. And I'll say more than half of my clients, my one-to-one clients right now, I'm actually fixing the issues that IVF, like multiple rounds of IVF, have fucked them up even more than they were fucked up before. So I'm dealing with a lot of that right now. But yes, your pregnancy has been taken for granted, and rightly so, right? For generations before us, we were just normal human beings, right? Like we had issues and shit going on, but not at the level we have. And because we are carrying around this generational trauma, whether it be physical, mental, emotional, toxin, whatever it is, we're fucking dumbing down our genes, right? So it's getting worse and worse for every generation. And it's our generation who is like, what the fuck? Like, I have the best access to healthcare. We have all these like, I don't know, the internet, like we just like have all this shit, right? Why am I sicker than my parents were? Why am I dealing with all like an autoimmune disease at 17? Why am I dealing with infertility at 27? Like, why is all this shit going down? And I personally believe that fertility issues is, if you are able to reframe it and go, this is the universe giving me the opportunity to sort my shit out, because when I become a mother, it's going to be just a little bit easier for me because I'm going to be conscious about environment, diet, and your mental and emotional health. But I'm gonna tell you, and this is where like I get into sticky area, right? Because this is the fucking truth and no one wants to hear it. I have two healthy boys because I was forced to sort my shit out. My kids don't have mental and emotional issues. They don't have behavioral issues. They're good eaters. They're smart. They're athletic. They get sick. They have, kind of like normal day-to-day things. And parenthood was still fucking hard.
Mm-hmm.
I could not imagine what parenthood would be like dealing with, like, I have a friend whose kid has a peanut allergy, right? It's a fucking peanut allergy. She is on nervous, like she's so fucking nervous all the fucking time, just in case her kid eats a fucking peanut. Right. And she's like, I'm going to live my whole life like that. Even when he's an adult, I'm going to worry about him when he's 18 out with his friends and have a peanut exposure because, they didn't know and there wasn't a pin around or something. Right. Or a kid who is colicky. Right. Or like all these little and common normal health issues that we as a society are like, oh, well, that's just kids. Like they're just sick all the time. I'm like, that's not fucking normal. Like, sorry,
Right.
it's not. And it makes the journey of parenthood that much harder because we don't live in the villages we used to live in. We live away from family. We don't have the aunties. We don't have the elders with us. We don't have that support. So you're doing it all yourself, unless you have the financial means to hire out either for a nanny or a cleaner or a chef. I did early education for 20 years before I became a mother. I thought motherhood was going to be, I was going to be the Pinterest mom, right? It's going to be fucking easy. I will tell you right now, absolutely not. And I have 2 healthy kids. I'm not, and this is funny because my 7 years was scheduled around appointments, getting to the fertility clinic, getting the draw, getting the medication. Just imagine doing that for your kid, right? There's a great nurse on TikTok. I duetted her and she actually like did a TikTok for me. And she realized after having, I think, 3 kids, she passed Lyme disease. They've got autism. They've got all these types of food sensitivities. She had a whole health of issues. She was going into perimenopause, like a really young age. She quote unquote woke up, started doing all the things, and has reversed all her issues, got pregnant naturally. And she said she's having the best pregnancy of her life. And I guarantee you that kid is going to have minute issues, if any. And then what her consciousness is also doing is that she's helping support the children that she didn't know to live a fulfilled life, right? I'm not saying let's like eradicate all issues, right? I truly believe that things like autism, Down syndrome, ADHD are special, right? Like, I feel like in the past, like those were special gifts to special people that brought a different level of meaning to this world, where now it doesn't feel that way. It feels man-made.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Because that
It
shit,
feels like a burden. Yeah.
yeah, if that stuff happened before, but I felt it was, I don't know, like it was like a spiritual thing. Like I used to work with Down syndrome kids all the time, and you felt the spirituality around them, right?
Yes.
Where I'm not sure with the issues that our kids are facing at a higher level today, it doesn't have that same feeling, if that makes sense.
I agree. I think there's quite a few diagnoses in particular that are like luxury induced, that like we wouldn't have them if we were still having to, farm for most of our food, right? But now there's so many of us, and commercial farming is a thing, and you don't have to agree with it, or you can whatever, but like ADHD, for example, in my opinion, like a luxury disease. Like you're gonna tell me that like your problem is that you have too much activity, like you're having a hard time concentrating on one thing because somebody's telling you have to, like, and they find that your inability to do that is actually a problem. I feel like that's just somebody trying to like put you into a box that you don't belong in.
Yeah.
They're trying to like dictate how a society is supposed to be run.
Supposed to be. Yeah.
And that to me is like sad and like highly problematic when we are looking at who it is that it's trying to dictate and tell our, the society what the society should be.
Yeah. And I think it's twofold, right? Like, I definitely think it's like everyone needs to sit at a desk and learn this way. And I absolutely know as an early educator, that is fucking bullshit. And we're doing our kids
Right.
a disservice. But I also know that the crap you're feeding your children are causing them to have neurological issues and not be able to be present in the moment. So it's not just like one thing again, right? It's a
Right.
multiple factor. And if we can go this far, maybe we'll get kicked off on Instagram. But vaccines are the same way, right? There's not healthy conversations around them. It's like, no, they're bad. No, you have to have them. It's like, why are we not having more rounded conversations about these big issues that are affecting the future, like, of
Right.
society? And
Yes.
I kind of believe that, my work now is to help the consciousness of these mamas, because they need to be able to bring in these spirits who need to be on a different level to fix the shit.
And that, guys, I think is a really, really important point. And y'all, who, if you've been here with me, if you've been here with me, you guys understand that, like, the work that we are doing is very much this idea that there is both an energetic, and whether you believe that that energy is simply emotions that you're feeling, which I love the phrase, like, emotions are your energy in motion. So, like, if you don't want to be in, like, the light worker, spiritual, like, whatever, you don't have to. You can simply understand that you have emotions because you are a human being, and those emotions are contributing to your consciousness, whether you believe that that consciousness comes from a creator source of all that is, God, whatever, like, more whatever. But then there's also that physical aspect of things, and if you ignore one, you're really going to have a hard time. I'm not saying that things are going to be impossible. You yourself, Monica, were just saying, like, you didn't really, during your, like, fertility journey, do anything that you thought was super spiritual.
Yeah.
And you were able to get pregnant naturally after a lot of, like, physical work. And I believe that in and of itself was, even though you weren't like, I'm sitting in meditation every day, like, praying, or, talking to my spirit base, I think that there is a level of spirituality in honoring your body as a temple, and saying that, what goes into it, how you are expressing yourself through your body, allowing yourself to achieve this level of health that, is important for you and is very specific to you, is very spiritual in nature, and allowed for, your spirit babies to go, yes, she did it. She got herself to the place that we need to be. Because, like you said, it's our generation now. It's the people now who are calling in and wanting to give birth to babies, that the work that you are doing to open up your cells and advance your DNA and activate these long dormant genes that are necessary now for us to bring in, it's because if you don't do that work, in my opinion, and from what I've seen in my own practice, your body will not be able to house a healthy embryo. It will not. It will not. Science has their own versions and words of what that looks like and why the miscarriages happen. On the spiritual side of it, on the light worker side of it, how we see that is your body is not able to house a higher level consciousness being that needs to come through you. So until you get your shit right, it will proceed to not work.
Yeah.
And that is because we are having so many things that need to shift and break, the systems and all that stuff that need to be changed. They need to be changed. And it will only be changed when these individuals come through us who have these special abilities, these gifts, this ability to access their emotions on a level that far exceeds anything that's happened in the last 100 years. The ability to be able to achieve greatness in their minds before they ever achieve it in the physical world. Like, these are beings that are coming. They're actively, like, up here going, like, we're here, we're ready.
Yeah.
And what most people won't be able to track or maybe sound really crazy, is that we are those souls that are waiting. When we decide to leave this life and we're done with this life, we are going to be the ones that come back going, hello, already done this.
Oh, fuck, we got another round? Oh, God. No, I agree. It can't keep going like this, right? And because there's just not going to be an Earth. I mean, they're already like, let's go to the moon because we fucked this place. You're like, what? Like, we're going to go live on Mars? Why don't we just fix our shit here? Like, it's that scientific approach of like, well, it's not fixable. We don't want to look at the damage. We don't want to look at the past. We don't look at the trauma. We don't want to own up to our own mistakes. We want to still be right. And yeah, I truly believe that some of us just have to go through some shit to be able to better our bodies, and just know that it's not your fault, but you can fix it. Right?
Yes. And for anybody who is like at this point in the conversation, you're wondering like, okay, so I'm sitting here, I'm struggling with infertility, and I really know that it's my path in life to birth a baby naturally. What is it that you would suggest in addition to signing up to work with you? With us.
Okay, but so I want to stop you there in not just birthing it yourself. I think adoptive parents need to do this as well, right?
Oh, 100%.
Right. This is for everyone. Whether you want to embryo, adopt, sperm donation, like whatever the path to parenthood is for you. Because the fact of the matter is those children choose you, and those children are, even if they're biologically yours or not, they're their own people. And they are, I almost believe this, they are there to trigger the shit out of you to make you grow if you choose. Right. So if you're conscious enough to be sat here through this conversation and you're like, okay, then you need to start taking those steps. One, get your body in order. You're going to be chasing around kids. You're going to be wanting to play with your teenagers. You want to be hanging out with your kids, not sick in a hospital or having health issues hooked up to an oxygen tank, right? Like you want to watch your kids grow up. So therefore, if you take care of your meat suit, you're able to do that for longer. And when you talk about quote unquote older moms, I was 37 by the time I had my second. So I'm going to be well into my 50s before they're even graduated. I want to see my grandkids. And I might not see my grandkids until I'm like 80, 90 years old, right? Like you just never know. So I want to at least give my body a chance to meet that next generation. So it really isn't like the ultimate goal for some is to get pregnant naturally. The ultimate goal might be embryo adoption, because unfortunately there's so many women who have gone past the point that at the tools right now that we have, we can't help them. Right? We can only support them to have a healthy body to welcome that embryo back in. Right. And it's the same as adoption. Like that kid is sent to you to help you grow. And so if you don't have the conscious awareness of the mental and emotional state, it's not going to be a happy relationship. Absolutely. Right? You're not going to pull them out of the generational trauma that they're trying to escape. Yes. Right. And you obviously got sent them to help you and them do that together if needs be. So I think it's a bit like it's everyone. And so it is like, find your food intolerances that you have right now, get a wide variety of diet, fix whatever needs to be quote unquote fixed, whether it's, and it's all upstream, you know, like your fertility doesn't run on its own. Like this whole concept that we hyper focus on this shit blows my mind. You know, like your mental and emotional state, your thyroid, your liver, your gut, like in your gallbladder, like it's all fucking important. So if you have like a liver that's not functioning well and you're not detoxing, find someone to help you do that shit. Right.
Yeah.
And then just, it's really that mental and emotional. Start where you're at and just keep walking forward. You're going to find some practices aren't your forte. Like they're just, people like sound baths. People rave about sound baths. I can't get into them. They're not my thing. I wish they were. They're so beautiful, but like, I'm just like, I don't feel the vibration here. So just know that like not everything is meant for everyone. And the reason why there's so many different modalities brought through different people is because it's your job to find what you're in tune with and who you connect with. I think that's a huge thing. Like, even if you're sat across from your doctor and you don't feel that connection with them, go find a fucking new doctor.
Thank you.
Right? Like,
Yes.
it is that connection, and that is so key to getting to your ultimate goal. Or an adoption agency. If you're not vibing with them, leave. And that goes back to the original. Tap into your intuition. That's like the number one thing you can do for yourself is to get that compass inside of you. Not that you'll always listen to it, but at least you know it's there and it will guide you. It will give you the right answer.
Yes. From my point, I agree with everything about that. I love when people are like, you know what, I understand that I am in a body and I need to make sure that it's at my healthiest, my version of healthiest, and do the work to say, you know what, just because somebody else needed to be vegan, that doesn't mean that I need to be vegan. You know, to get to my healthy, this is what I need to do. Maybe it's pescatarian. Maybe it is that you're being a carnivore. All of it's good ultimately.
Right.
And I think getting educated on what it means to be a mom outside of getting pregnant. So what do I mean by this? I have so many people who come and are telling me that being a mom is important, but they can't tell me why. And because of that, I feel like their ability to fully embrace their ability to become pregnant is like cock blocked in the most ridiculous way. And I say ridiculous because it really, that of all the things that would stop you from getting pregnant is your ability to understand what being a mother means. And doing that downstream thinking is something I feel like of all the things, that's like one of the like very simplest things. However, I know from doing a lot of work is that changing the mind is a lot harder than changing the body. It's
absolutely way fucking harder. Oh my God, so much harder.
Don't believe this. Tell yourself to stand up from the chair that you're sitting in.
Yeah.
If your mind at any point will be like, nope, I'm not going to stand up, I guarantee you your body is not going to stand up.
Yeah.
So if you want to get into control of what is going on with you, get your mind right, and do that downstream thinking. Start asking yourself, what does it mean to be a mom? Start having conversations, even if you don't believe yourself to be an intuitive. In my opinion, I feel like you should be talking to your spirit babies, or the idea of you being pregnant. Like, you need to be talking to yourself as if it already is, as it already is. Mm-hmm. And finding that brain confirmation as early as you possibly can. This is why I think a lot of women will be like, I give up, I can't do it. I've been through X amount of IVF treatments, I've done all the things, and we've been trying. We've done the calendar method, and we've done all these things, and we can't, and we just won't. So let me go and I'll adopt. They adopt, and poof, they're like a miracle of miracles. And I'm like, actually though, if you had just like unblocked your emotions around like parenthood and you were able to see that you are a parent, you would have had this miracle, which is a miracle. I'm not going to downplay that at all. You would have had that happen. It was this blessing of this adoption that opened your mind up to being like, oh, I am a mother, here I am. And that opened up the floodgates. So do that work as soon as you possibly can. Granted, like we've already discussed here, is it, essential for every woman? No. but I think working through any sexual traumas you have, working through any like issues around womanhood that you have, you know, you not being good enough if you can't give birth, as if you're just a baby making machine. Fuck the patriarchy, because like that directly stems from that bullshit.
Yeah.
And just being able to address the fact that being a mom is something that no one but you can take away from you. If you tell yourself that you will never become a mom, then I guarantee you, you never will. You never will. And that even includes if you decide to go and adopt a baby and bring them into your life, you will never be the mom that you want to show up to be if you continue to tell yourself that you will never be a mom.
Yeah. The hard pill to swallow is it's all about self-love and self-worth. And when I discovered that, it was actually after becoming a mom. To be honest, entrepreneurship and motherhood, those are the two things that have fucking pushed me over the edge, right? Like to really have to look at myself. And it was actually almost a year ago today, I stopped drinking alcohol. And I was asking myself, why couldn't I do it? I did it during my infertility. I gave up alcohol because I had a reason. I wanted a family. I knew alcohol was blocking me, so I stopped. And then I came back into my life. And like, I'm not talking like I hid vodka under my bed, but like, I like to drink, right? Like it was my thing. Yeah. And it was through the work I was doing, like, you don't think you're worthy enough of having the life without alcohol. You don't love yourself enough to honor your body. And that was, talk about a slap in the face, like, and it's crazy when I tell people, because I'm pretty honest, and everyone who has always known me my whole life, they're like, what the fuck? You like, you're always outgoing in life of the party. I was like, yep. Usually the life of the party is the most insecure girl in the room.
Yes.
That was me, pretty much my whole life. And so that's where the radical, self-evaluation comes in. And like the quicker you get to that, the easier the journey is. Mm-hmm. Right. And even if you have to wait another year or two to have your baby, the wait's cool. Like you're chill. Yes. You're like, fuck, I'm here,
Yes. Yeah. Enjoy the journey, even if it takes you 20 years, guys. Like seriously, there's so much to be learned and valued through the journey. And I'm not going to pretend like I know. I started off this being very honest. I will never give birth naturally to a child, so I will never have to deal with any sort of aspect of, infertility. Like that thought process in my mind, dude, I could be infernal AF. Like I could like be missing like a reproductive organ out of me. I would not know, and I will never know, because I won't ever go to do that scan. But I'm not going to pretend like this isn't a hard thing, that listening to this conversation that we're having may not trigger the hell out of you, because you have tried it all and you have done it and you want it, and you're so tired. And I'm going to tell you another really hard truth. I need you to try to find the gratitude in it. Mm-hmm. Find the gratitude and the joy within this struggle, this hurdle, this hill that if you are being really fucking honest about, you are willing to die on this hill for this. Mm-hmm. And I will tell you that there's few things more powerful than deciding for yourself that you're going to value yourself enough to do that, and to feel the joy in you know what? Yeah, I'm going to get excited every single time I think I'm pregnant. You're not going to take anything away from each and every attempt and each and every test. And that, yes, you're going to feel sad when it's a negative, but you're going to jump right back in to this arena and you're going to fight and go, you know what? Yeah, it's sad. It didn't work out this time, but we're going for it again.
Yeah.
Keep the faith with it. That sounds cheesy as fuck, but like, you know, keep the faith, and not just like faith in a higher power. Yes, that's important. Faith within yourself. I firmly believe like we are the creator.
Yeah.
We have that living inside of us. And if you can't see that, it becomes really hard to step into your own power and be the creator of your reality.
Yeah.
And so, you guys, this is a conversation that could go on for hours and hours and hours. We did not talk about like we didn't talk about anything super sciencey. I want to like be very clear, like this was not I did not want it to be that way. I'm glad this conversation went in this direction. Yes, you know, there is information about the natural killer cells. There's information about your hormones and how they fluctuate and peak times and all of this stuff. Yes, there are conversations around how to detox your body in a healthy way and get the organs, all of them functioning well. I'm going to highly encourage you that if you are seeking help in infertility, in your fertility journey, please understand that these are conversations that do take time. They take time and discipline and focus on. Please do not take that knowledge for granted. Come and book a discovery call with this beautiful face that is attached to a beautiful body, attached to a beautiful soul. And of course, absolutely come and talk to me if you have questions about the more spiritual aspect of it. Let me tell you, at the end of the day, we're probably going to tell you the same things.
Yeah. Wow, we have a mutual client.
We do, and I love her.
Right? And I think I could say this because it's not going to give anything away. I had another discovery call with her after your session, right? And so like one of my powers is I can see the holes. Like I can see your bullshit. Like, let's dive down. So I'm sitting there because I know she has done fucking everything, right? Like this girl, like she could be a functional holistic fertility health coach herself, right? She is smart. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, fuck, I feel so bad. I haven't got down to the root cause, like, ugh. And then she mentioned what you suggested to do to her about the breath work.
Yeah.
And she's like, but I'm not doing it enough. And I was like, what do you mean you're not doing it enough? You're doing it 3 to 4 times a week. She's like, no, she said every day. And I was like, fuck, every day? She's like, yeah. And I was like, why aren't you doing it then? And she's like, what do you mean? I was like, you've been given the keys to that's your fucking answer. Someone's literally told you what your child wants. All you have to do is 30 minutes of breath work every day. Why aren't you doing it? You're sat here asking me about like parasite cleanses and like this and that. And this is like right at the end of our call, right? And I was just like, there's your answer. And I was like, yes, I got it. I got the answer. But you know, like it's just subconscious beliefs, right? She's like, it doesn't feel good. I was like, fuck no, that breath work doesn't feel good. It's hard. It's hard because it's getting that shit out, right? It's like going to run a fucking mile as fast as you can without any prep work, right? I was like, you just got to get up and do it. I said, even if you just do 10 minutes to start with, right? Just keep going, you'll get it. So it's just really cool that like, yeah, it's building that team, right? And just knowing, like for me, I still work with coaches because I need to be called out on my bullshit.
Yes.
Right?
Agreed.
Because our subconscious mind tells us, like we just said in the beginning, keep us safe, keep us safe, keep us safe. So even though we have almost all the knowledge, right? Like not all of it, but pretty close, we still are human beings and we're still playing the game. So yeah, I thought you'd be interested. I'm glad I got to tell you here because I did want to tell you. So
yeah,
watch
I've
out.
been wondering how she's been doing, and like I know that she's so close. Like you said, like she's dialed in on this information and all these things. And as I was like looking at stuff, I was like, God, there's like no physical reason that I can like even. I was like looking, and I remember telling her, I was like, you dialed in on your temple so much that I really am not seeing this as like a physical reason for why this isn't working. I said, I love that you're working with Monica. I was like, I love that you're working with her. She's going to help continue to direct you to what, you know, you need to do on a physical level. But like, I need you to like unlock your mind and unlock your body.
It's the
And
surrender, right?
yeah,
Surrender is, I feel like surrender is the hardest thing for everyone on this planet to do, because we just haven't been taught it, right? Like, work hard and then you'll get it. Do, and then you'll have it. Where, especially this fertility journey, yes, there's steps you need to take. You need to take those physical steps, but you also need to ditch the fucking fertility to-do list and just enjoy now. Yeah. But interest is, anyways, I thought that was a good way to end the segment.
Yes. So guys, I'm going to have all of the stuff in the show notes. I will have all of the things, all of the ways to connect with Monica. I will have all of the ways, obviously, to connect with myself. I will throw them up in the comments as well. Obviously, you know, I will tag her so you guys can easily find her. I will throw up her TikTok as well, because like I said, brilliant information there. Please, guys, understand that this is not anything that we're not saying that there is a one-stop shop at any of this. What we are saying is that you are worthy enough to have your dreams. And if your dream is to become a mom, if your dream is to have a baby, it is possible. It is more than possible. So please believe that. Understand that it's not going to necessarily be an easy journey. This may take you some time to figure out what is right for you, but you can do it. You can do that. We believe in you.
We do believe in you. Absolutely.
So thank you so much, Monica, for joining me on this episode of Breath of Life Conversations. Guys, thank you, all of you. I did not catch, I'm going to like briefly scroll here to see if there's any like questions that popped up. I don't think there were. Obviously, like while we're here, if anybody has any questions, but and I'll be watching the comments too on this video. Put any questions that you have down in the comments, any of the comments here on YouTube as well, and we will get them answered for you in the best way that we can. And thank you. I'm terrible at closing these, guys. You know this. I'm terrible. Like, it's never good.
Never gonna end. Well, I'm so glad that we finally got to sit down, and like, I love connecting like this and just chatting. So thank you so much for thinking of me and having me on.
Yes, thank you. All right, guys. Bye.
Bye.